And we are alive. So, what are you cooking this week, Sam? Seeing as you can do that, and I just sort of throw meat at the oven and try not to poison myself.
It's Morgan's birthday tomorrow, so I'm making Korean fried chicken. I ordered the batter mix straight from well, not from Korea actually, but like I ordered it from online and some gochujang too. So I'm gonna make the sauce. I'm gonna make the whole thing. I made today. I made a carrot cake. It's their favorite, so that's just kind of sitting there. We don't really have anything to decorate it with. It's gonna be a little bit of
Very
a
cool,
toned
very
down
cool. And for
occasion.
those of you who are not in the know, Morgan is Sam's partner, an individual that has been hiding bodies beneath his backyard over the last year or so, and every week, Sam tries to be a good boyfriend, partner, whatever, and dissolve those bodies and lie, tell the right lies to the local police officers, really keep the balance of the relationship going.
My main target are animators that graduate from Cal Arts.
Sam considers bean face to be a sin on par with the execution of President Kennedy.
I gotta tell you, it's neither of these two things had a good lasting impact on the world. So the comparison could be made.
I don't know. I don't think anyone from the Castro family got any joy out of the Midnight Gospel or whatever. So you could say that one has done
I
more
certainly
damage than the
fucking
other. At
didn't.
least someone. There's a whole political axis that got joy out of Kennedy biting it.
This is true. Honestly, there are multiple political axes that did, both on the left and right, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know. I don't understand the people who aren't fucking bored of this yet. I don't know why they keep wanting more of these fucking notebook sketch ass bean faced ovals moving around on a screen, motherfucker. I'm just so tired.
I mean, one of the main obstacles to people losing weight, I think we've been over this before, but once you've been eating the same thing for a while, force of habit is more of a driving force than even any real addiction. Like, you just have become used to life being this experience, this sensation. And it's almost like
I
something's being taken away from you if the Thundercats don't have bean faces?
I don't want to talk about Thundercats Roar very much. I'd rather talk about literally anything else. Because
Anything?
if we talk about fucking Thundercats Roar, then I'm going to start thinking about Thundercats 2011 and what was fucking stolen from us. The fucking it could have been Avatar good. It really could have been.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It really stinks when you have that kind of thing yanked away from you, and
There was something fucking there. And we got Dragon Prince instead, which is not terrible, but
I saw that 2011 reboot and thought, oh, there might be something here. And a few years later, I got divorced after about a month of marriage, and I really think I lost a lot more potential joy from that Thundercats bit.
oh, it fucking goddamn.
Like, when I weigh that
I'm just gonna keep
relationship,
fucking grumbling. I'm not even going to make any point really. I'm just so fucking sick of circles, and I'm so sick of ukuleles. Specifically, those two things.
I have trouble. I understand the sort of theory behind the aesthetic appeal of most of the CalArts things visually, right? The fucking ukulele thing that owns a certain type of person in music and in cartoon media, whatever, just ukulele core, you can call it that certain cloying approach. I just cannot understand why you look at a worse version of acoustic guitar and say, now this is what I'm going to bring to parties.
I think part of me wants to argue that the ukulele and the sound that it makes is as non-threatening and non-challenging as possible, which is the same thing that you could say about the CalArts art style, right? Although I do know that the CalArts art style sort of is it exists because of this sort of ethos behind the CalArts method, which is in
Mm-hmm.
essence the idea is that they want the belief is that a character design should be as simple and as easy to recognize as possible, right? So
Also,
the
everyone should
easiest.
just be a colored blotch when you get down to it. Like, everyone just gets one color per character.
And the idea is like, at least within this show, if like someone looks kind of like a rounded off triangle and someone looks kind of like a rounded off rectangle, and if someone looks vaguely like an oval, right? And you turn them into silhouettes, you can, yeah, you can definitely recognize each of them from their silhouettes. That doesn't make their character designs interesting or entertaining, though. It just makes them, yeah, I guess recognizable. But that's
Present.
yeah. It makes. Let me try that again. I'm trying to come up with a colorful metaphor here to illustrate why you're kind of only going not even a halfway, but a quarter of the way. And I can recognize that, I don't know, a dish has onions in it from the smell of onions, but it still has to taste half decent. If that makes sense.
I like that. At least brings us full circle for me starting with the food. Mostly because I'm hungry. I don't know. I don't schedule things very well.
I made pork agrodolce a couple days ago, and what I've been doing is just like kind of spooning a couple chunks every couple of hours into a little mug, just heating that up in the microwave, and that's just been meals for me.
Cool. In my bored quarantine existence, I tried wrapping bacon around a carrot.
Well, if the carrot was like cooked in butter or something like that, then I feel like there's something there. But did you cook the carrot first?
Let's say yes. Let's say I'm a very smart person that thinks about different aspects of his palate and at least broiled that fucking carrot before I wrapped bacon around it instead of just, I don't know. I was just a culinary version of a kid with a fork just staring at a socket, and it slowly gravitates more closely towards it. Speaking of kids and things you shouldn't fucking do, let's talk about Assassin's Pride. That's show one today, kids. It's Assassin's Pride, which came out, by the way, way more recently than I thought. Like, I thought this was hot on the heels of Eromanga Sensei for reasons that will become apparent. But
no, this is just like last year, perhaps the year before. Honestly, I feel like we're a little bit late to the game on this one because all the various, anime personalities on YouTube and Twitter and such have already had their hot takes about this show. But I wanted mine.
it's always fun to get your turn at the local punching bag, or, in mixed martial arts, they call a match that you're guaranteed to win easily a jobber, if you will. They call them a can.
A can? Okay.
Yeah,
like
and
you
things
have
have
this
been
in the
very
can?
positive on this programming. So I thought, what if I just opened up 2 real nutritious protein-full cans?
The second one's going to be big order. And what I appreciate about these two shows is that they are very, very different shows that are nonetheless equally bad.
It's kind of interesting
And
that they are
provoke somewhat
both
the same reaction.
as trend-chasing as they are, and you would call them both action fantasies, but they are very different beasts of...
I mean, for starters, they are, chasing the coattails of two different things. This, for instance, is chasing the coattails equally of, I want to say, Sword Art Online, which continues to be the fucking serpent in the Garden of Eden of, like, shitty anime in the 2010s.
It's not the serpent in the garden because we didn't fucking learn anything. It made us dumber. We forgot shit.
I would argue that we didn't learn anything then either.
We learned shame. And if we learned shame, then this show wouldn't be half comprised of ass shots of prepubescence.
Oh yeah, no, total pedobait show. That's like a thing with this. It's felt dirtier than usual watching it. Usually, at the very least, all the fucking cheesecake I have to sit through is of 17-year-old girls, which is I guess slightly less illegal than this. But no, so that's the other part. That's the Mahu Sensei Nagima,
Yep.
In this thing's influence. I think like Ken Akamatsu is also to blame for this somewhat.
In terms of other franchises, moving parts, I think there's a large Black Butler influence on this. For those of you who never heard of Black Butler, this was a middling show about a kid with a butler that was also a demon. I think the whole show exists because someone thought of the pun, I'm a hell of a butler. At least it's the English version of the pun. The Japanese version is like some kind of play on butler being spelt like demon, whatever. But
Wait, no, you didn't just come up with like that's actually like a thing in
that's
the
a thing.
show.
In the dub, it's I'm a hell of a butler, and in in
Okay,
in Japanese, it's like this
okay, that's like
slightly better pun, but still awful. And the whole show basically exists because of that.
that's great. I was about to almost say fair's fair on Black Butler because at least in Black Butler the kid did something. Here the kid is just a fucking weepy mobla.
Moblub might not be fair because she is way more discomfortingly detailed and sexualized than that.
It's true. Yeah, the
There are
idea
angles
with
and
the
there should
character
not be.
designs, the deal with the character designs of the female characters on this show is not it's not cute girls doing cute things. It's the other thing that makes you feel like you're committing a misdemeanor at least by watching this show.
Oh, it's a hard ass felony. I'm gonna start with a little more broad context. Like we gave some broad shots, but just a little conceptual summary, just to.
Oh yeah, and I actually feel like I'm selling the premise of this thing short because it's fucking stupid in a very entertaining way. Like this is criminally dumb. Go ahead.
So we're in a world where the last thing that exists is a vaguely Renaissance city-state called. It has Flan in it. I think it's Flandore. I don't care. The point is that there's only one city left, sort of post-medieval level technology.
And it exists in like it looks like a big candelabrum floating above a weird desecrated wasteland. I'm gonna go to the fucking Wikipedia page.
You ever seen
here.
bad Bloodborne fan art?
Yeah, it's
A lot of it's aesthetically it's not like
aesthetic.
that. Like someone who's only watched Negima draws Bloodborne fan art, and that's what the city looks like. So we follow this guy named Kufa Vampire, a
and
man
that's
who
his actual fucking name.
yeah it is his actual name. After I heard his fucking name, we actually had to pause the show because I want to say a solid 2.5 minutes laughing. Which would be greatly to its credit if it was a comedy. Like, that would bring it into fucking. Maybe not prison school, but like a Zetsubo Sensei kind of tier.
I remember that was definitely the most entertained I was at any point in watching this show was learning this motherfucking asshole's name. And the second most entertained I was learning the name of his charge. The 13-year-old that he's been sent to train or something like that, and her name is Melita Angel. So like, get it?
Yeah, we are sitting on the nose until it breaks. Like, the nose needs reconstructive plastic surgery on this show. Alright, so this guy's whole bit, per title, is that he is an assassin, which has, in the drift of time and Ubisoft games, just become a word for cool guy.
Fighting guy.
And
Fighting
he's given-
guy. Maybe they fight a little bit more up close than others, and that's it's been the term has been diluted, shall we say?
Yeah. So he's supposed to supervise and under certain conditions kill off this 13-year-old, which, you think that'd take you like a weekend, maybe you case the joint Hitman, Shadow, whatever style.
I think okay. So here's what I gathered. The premise is the idea is that Melita Angel is the scion of this fairly powerful family in all these domed cities with trains and shit. I don't know. It's a very confused.
Oh yes,
setting.
indeed, dynastic politics. There's a thing that things do where they like hint towards the existence of sort of dynastic feudal power struggle, but they just do not feel like putting in any of the work of doing that J.R.R. Martin shit where you
Do not
sketch
feel
these out.
like or intellectually incapable of, because I feel like it might edge towards the latter. And so his whole thing is that he's supposed to train this girl to be good at mana, because they couldn't just fucking call it magic, I guess. And kill her if he cannot get something out of her. But he, does or whatever, and then refers to her as his little lady in English. And I'm not going to do an offensive Japanese accent here, but you just imagine it in your head. It's really fucking funny.
It is very funny. What's funnier is that the screen goes all pink and they both get let's make out face and it just slowly dials up the fucking Amber Alerts from there.
Gonna continue reminding y'all she's 13. He's above 20. That's like his age is kept sort of vague, but like he's seems to have been in the game long enough to have had a history with this other character, so I'm putting him at least at 25. And honestly, he's older than 15 and this is weird.
So yeah, we're in a bad territory. When we did the fucking worst of list, I described Aromanga Sensei as a show by pedophiles for pedophiles. I'm gonna vacillate that one for Assassin's Pride, and that Assassin's Pride is a show made to put pedophiles to sleep because it's also fucking boring most of the time.
It is. I think almost it's almost kind of disappointing how boring it is because I want this to be the sort of thing that makes me angrier when watching it, and it does to a point, but mostly I'm just wondering why it's not trashier, I guess. If that makes sense. Like, remember when we covered Domestic Girlfriend, right?
Right, yeah.
We
thought we were heading straight into that genre of madness by the descriptions of this show. And this one, everything is
mostly
very
they just sit around not being
and
animated.
boring.
Yeah. And it's a shame because when you get into the meat of it, it's all really entertainingly stupid. You kind of hope that there's less really fucking obvious breaks in animation. You know, sort of like that thing that happens in, anime where they're not using their budget very intelligently, and you'll just have people kind of standing around stiff as a board for about like 3 to 8 seconds at a time, and then like the next shot is someone doing the same thing for 3 to 8 seconds, and they say at one another. There's a whole lot of that.
There's a whole lot of that. There's a whole lot of accounting rocking back and forth saying we can't afford it. What the fuck are we gonna do? What the fuck are we gonna do, guys? And it's half of the reason that all of the fighting stuff in the show feels completely lifeless.
Oh, all the
other
fighting
half
in the
is
show
the
feels completely
situation
lifeless.
and the system and the. It's a really bad sign when all the context makes all your action worse.
So I've been trying to nail down exactly the line between an interesting application of in medias res, where there is a whole system behind this and they drop you into it and you're fine with it and it works for whatever reason, and this where they drop you into this big complicated, like battle magic fighting shonen seinen whatever the fuck system, and it doesn't work at all and it just feels tiresome.
Honestly, it might not even be the application of en medias res. Like, maybe the idea of using it is fine. It's just that the content isn't there behind it. I think about like foreshadowing instead of en medias res. It's foreshadowing is cool when you're foreshadowing something interesting. I say setting of Star Wars or some bullshit. Here you foreshadow just more pederasty, and it's just gonna feel painful.
Now this is gonna frustrate me if I don't nail it down, right? Because you get a show like, I don't know, we were just watching Kill la Kill or whatever, right? And, as early as the first episode, our first 1-2 episodes, we started hearing about, like, life fibers and shit like that, right? Now, yes, I get that, like, Ryuko is being introduced to the idea of life fibers, as are we, and that probably helped somewhat, because everyone in this setting seems to know everything about the setting already, and it's just the viewers, just sitting down in the classroom to learn.
It's interesting how stilted that makes the dialogue about the concepts, by the way. Like, the fact that everyone in this conversation knows about mana, but they are defining mana in encyclopedia terms for the slow children in the back, I guess. I know, it's very weird.
I think there's this way that the whole action plays out where, yes, they're explaining it to you, but oddly and paradoxically, they also seem to expect you to understand it already because, you've seen enough anime, you know how this works. This, it's the glowy magic, right? They say a thing, they start glowing purple or whatever.
It's like, come on, we're doing the Shaman King thing. You get it. Fuck you.
Ill-defined power or whatever, right? And it's like, it's exceedingly fucking boring and immediately turns you off to it, right? And then they explain it anyway. So I think the
oh, God has left this place.
I think it's the laziness that has something to do with it. Like, it's there is no sort of attempt to create any sense of mystery or wonder, right? Like this, you're supposed to take so much of this setting and the things in it on faith.
I have a darker answer for you.
All right, go for
In
it.
terms of the balance of like fantasy execution elements to other content in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, back in my edumacation, we talked a lot about, the mechanics of like your standard fantasy novel, how you drip things in slowly and constructing this world, building a certain type of momentum, a certain type of engagement. And this show puts that kind of effort in, but not into building the fantasy, but into slowly cranking up the dial on this guy banging this teenager. Sorry, preteen.
Preteen. We got.
It is far more invested in winter May relationship building than it is in the mechanics of its fantasy setting.
It does seem like the mechanics of the fantasy are somewhat incidental to what you're all really here for, right, fellas?
Imagine Twilight with way worse goals and core audience. Like, instead of fucking harmless pandering to teenage girls.
I've just become aware of the audio commentary for Twilight on its DVD or whatever, and we were unfair to Rob Pattinson in 2008. We really were. That fucking guy. You should hear him just fucking shoot on this movie as he, like collects a paycheck.
Dude, let's make a night of this. Can that be a Weeaboo Hell supplemental?
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. I think I had some fucking take about this, a while ago. How 2008 Sam would be utterly disgusted with 2020 Sam telling him that Robert Pattinson is now one of his favorite actors. Just like, oh, I knew you'd be a
dude. If you think
seller.
that's mean, 2008 Dennard would look at 2020 Dennard and say, "You're only on phase 6. The operation demands a higher effort. Give me your pinky." I'm not giving my pinky. Cut it off. I'm not giving my fucking pinky. You need to learn. You need to be educated. You need to be disciplined. Look, kid, do you want like a White Claw, or what the fuck is a White Claw?
I wonder when exactly hard seltzer happened. Like when it not when it caught on, but when was the first hard seltzer?
That's a great question.
Had to have been sometime in the last decade, right? The last half decade even.
I don't have that time lined out. I know I bought one for the first time maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
I want to say maximum 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was skeptical at first of the idea of a hard seltzer. And then, I embraced the idea of 100 calories, and maybe the price is just, I feel kind of like a lame asshole when I'm getting drunk. But, I'm already a lame asshole, so...
I'm fine with being a lame asshole. I'm fine with being a lame asshole that weighs less. You only want so much of the world to be assholes of a lame variety. Otherwise, the whole world just smells like ass.
We've gotten off topic because this show is kind of boring, and that's it's... No, it's not its greatest sin. The pedo shit is definitely its greatest sin.
Bronze medal on its list of sins is the boredom, I would say.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up about this thing is the fucking another part of the Sword Art Online / isekai influence on this. Even though this is not an isekai show, you could fucking smell the isekai on its breath.
Oh, you can see the fucking fang prints. It's like, how you can just find a werewolf by instinct in more interesting fantasy settings. Like there's the Predator's taint in World of Darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
You can just smell the formalist taint of isekai on this one.
You can smell it on this one specifically because it has a diegetic class system. Kufa Vampire's class is samurai. Someone else's class is paladin. And they say this out loud. It's not like it's just a bit of text appears on the screen or whatever. No, this is something that is understood in world to be a thing.
Dude, I got so mad.
I'm trying to figure out how I can best illustrate how fucking damaging it is to a fantasy setting's believability when you start incorporating elements from interactive
People might give a shit for the word
shit.
believability. I think the right term is engagement, like just your ability to
Engagement, yeah.
play ball and enjoy what is happening. And whenever someone uses fucking diegetic RPG, I'm misusing the word diegetic, whatever. Whenever someone uses just hard RPG language in some kind of live passive media, it just completely resonates. Like, I understand for a second what it's like to be Jim Cornette watching most things.
Well, for me, it's like I'm kind of doused with ice water, right? And immediately, whatever I'm watching, whether it be isekai or not, like this, it's not isekai, but it's isekai enough, right? That it immediately starts to feel like I'm just watching someone play a video game. And I hate that feeling, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't. And that's like one of the main reasons that isekai just does not fucking work for me or at all. Honestly, I'm gonna break my own rule here. I mean, I've already been breaking my own rules.
We have rules
because, like, well, one of my personal rules is to say not that it sucks, but that I don't like it. But no, isekai sucks. So does this. And
I have no
part of
such
the reason
rules.
why
I'll just
is because
echo
of that.
Isekai sucks, and so does this. For my fucking media values, it's the equivalent of the voice actors reading the parts of their script that are not their lines. Like, if they just started saying, INT, classroom. Kirito, a useless asshole that holds two swords, strides in, smiling for no good reason.
No, for me, it's a little bit that, certainly. And like, I think that's a good point right there. It's also this. So here's the thing. When you include a class or mechanics system, right, in a show that is, decidedly not interactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anime is a non-interactive medium. Unless, there was some fucking call-in thing like Death of a Family, or Death in the Family, but that, to my knowledge, has never happened. But even then, that's not interactive enough, right?
Right.
When you are dealing with an uninteractive medium or a non-interactive medium, and then you include elements that exist because of the fact that you're in an interactive medium, for instance, stats or a class system or shit like that, right? A mana meter, shit like that. And you include that in a non-interactive medium, you are making it feel like I'm dealing with an interactive medium, but I'm not able to interact with it. So I am feeling very much like I am watching someone play a video game. That is kind of the point that I've been trying to make here this whole time. The isekai is watching someone play a fucking boring ass, like one of the lesser, Dragon Quest games, right? And when you include diegetic class systems, you're doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah, don't reduce your fucking anime to a fucking let's play a Final Fantasy 13.
And like, I hate these fucking bland "this is you" characters, so I do not feel like it's me playing this bland fucking Dragon Quest ass game. So you're not doing yourself any favors by having it be, bland everyman who all the girls want to fuck and he has a really cool power or stupid shit like that. Like, it just makes it just. You're actively working against engagement here.
If I could,
it pulls me out of it more and more and more.
If I could pull us away from the video game thing for a sec before we go to our next show, because I just want to talk about this during our time here.
Oh sure, yeah, this fucking show. Yeah, honestly, we're not doing this show justice. Like, I think I got caught up on one thing, but there's a dozen more that we could have gone into too.
I just need to talk about how it's just drizzled in, and maybe I should say it was foreshadowed because Kufa Vampire is a vampire.
In fact, he's a half vampire.
He is a half vampire. And I started to choke and nearly die. So I respect this show on one level, in that it almost killed me, and that takes balls.
He's also a lycanthrope.
It's very important that he is an assassin, half vampire, part lycanthrope.
Samurai, lycanthrope. Like, I love the list that you can kind of create with his fucking identity here. this show should be more entertaining than it is.
This
This should
ball
be a
of
great hate
nouns.
watch.
Like, honestly, this show could go from a hard 0.5 to a 3 or 4 if they just took the camera off the little girl ass for some time.
And they're loath to do that, by the way. There's
It's deeply
anytime they
discomforting.
need to fill 5 seconds, like, they point the camera at this 13-year-old girl's ass, and I just sort of tried to politely look away from my laptop screen while we were...
Actually, if I can make a really gross point about this show,
Sure.
it's not as fixated on little girl ass as little girl center, like, flat chest. It's gross. It's bad.
It's like, it's real fucking gross, and if that's the reason that you were watching this show, then I don't want to know you, and I hope you stop listening to us, because I don't want you listening to us.
Yeah, we're not that hard for fucking viewership.
Get help.
However,
it's not a
if you are the
sexuality,
kind
it's
of
a mental illness.
moron, if you are the type of moron that watches Big Order, please stay. You sound fun. I want to know what your life is like.
I want to know who you are, and I want to know why you enjoy the things you do, because I think you might... There's a chance you're a mad genius, and I'd love to know more about you, because fucking Big Order is... it's... It's so its own thing.
I think if you're a fan of Big Order, you're actually smarter than me. Like, you just take this information and just fill in everything that this show just decided to not do. Like, your brain does
You're
it
like,
on autopilot.
I understand.
Like, you are an evolved creature that can just take nonsense and find meaning. Like, you're solving algorithms with your ascended mind.
I think you might be the Chad and I might be the Virgin, because honest to fucking God, Big Order is a show by or is a manga, right? Was a manga. I think is a manga by the hell is his name? Sakae Isuno, who is the dude who did what the fuck is it called? Future Diary, right?
A lot of Future
so
Diary echoes with us lately. Just so many dominoes in where we are now.
Yeah. Interesting that. And Future Diary, right, was pretty good manga as I remember. I think I read a good amount of it. And I guess because he had Future Diary clout, he was able to get this fucking thing published.
And I guess
For
what's
better or for worse,
about this guy as a writer is that it seems whether his thing lives or dies is based on whether he is on the pulse or just behind it. Because on this one, he's just behind it, and just the whole house of cards collapses into chaos.
What's interesting is that Future Diary, right? It got its manga adaptation after the manga had been around for quite a number of years. I think it was actually pretty close to wrapping up, or already had at least, perhaps by the time it got its anime adaptation. Now, I don't really know about. No, I'm checking right now. No, the manga actually, it was 10 volumes. It is either wrapped up or was canceled. I'm not really sure. But this fucking thing. Where do I even begin?
It would be a real understatement to call this a mess. Because I guess a mess implies a certain type of randomness, whereas here there is a lot of very specific information and executions, and everything looks just like animated enough where I don't feel like they rush it. It's just like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's incredible. Like, I wrote down the line where everything permanently collapsed into itself. Like, I wasn't doing well before this, but the second that...
Well, there is certainly an order to Grand Order, certainly.
Big Order, Grand Order is a whole other fucking...
Big Order, Grand... Yeah, no, it's another shitty thing that I hate. No, I don't hate this. I think it'd be wrong to say that I hated this. It was entertaining.
It was entertaining, but let me get this line in the world. Just, I'm Kurenai Rin, an assassin sent to kill you. When they say,
I think that's when this show had me, is like that moment right there.
and
Like, I might just finish the fucking thing. It's only 10 episodes.
I think you've gotta, like, Big Order only happens once.
Big Order is a show, and okay, so the whole premise of it, and don't worry if you get lost here, because that's just proof that you're still sane. The idea is that at some point in the next year or two or something like that, you get these people called orders are introduced into the world, and they're people with, stands.
Yep.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. It's basically that.
Araki's gonna start
And
fucking suing people eventually. Like we've reached the
he
density.
seems to just be honored to be as influential as he is. That's the only explanation I can think of as to why he hasn't gone fucking litigation crazy. So you've got orders, right? Which stand users, except the world knows about them, right? And in JoJo, it was always kind of understood that people like
It's not at the
just
top of
do
the
not
newspaper.
fucking notice stand users ever. In this, no, they figured that shit out immediately, and one of them is our protagonist. His name is Ag. His whole deal is that his order.
His order has the power to deflate narrative tension because it can control all people and objects and some ideas, as far as I can tell, in anywhere he has walked.
Okay, so that is the basic premise on the ground right now, right? It's just that is the world that we're living in, and at some point he used his power in a way that caused I guess you could call it a minor apocalypse. Like civilization just took a really big shit, and now we're living in the aftermath of that. Some 10 years later or something like that, right?
Yeah, so he just like nudged some tectonic plates or whatever the fuck, and people aren't happy. There were some implications. I don't think the show is really going back to this because it's sprinting from concept to concept like it's on Quaaludes, but the first episode lays the foundations of some fucking X-Men discontent with the orders.
Yeah, that if they ever explore that, it's going to be way later because they lay those foundations or they allude to that, and then it seems kind of forgotten about just a little bit. I think
I almost feel like I'm misleading people describing this stuff as the premise of Big Order, because this stuff is the premise of the first episode of Big Order. The second episode's premise is that they go through a coup of the Earth's government,
Kyushu?
and I want to say 4 minutes before introducing the Gotei 13.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough just how little time this show wastes getting to the meat. In fact, it is so quick to do so that it seems to forget that you kind of need an entire arc or so. 8 episodes, let's say, before you get to the show that this show gets to within the first 2. Honestly, within the first 20 minutes. And there's this point in the second episode that's very emblematic of this, right? When after, like screwing around with the assassin sent to kill him for a couple of minutes, we are immediately introduced to, I called this moment Attack of the Character Designs.
Yep.
Because immediately we were introduced to this council of 10, and they're all... Yeah, they're the Gotei 13 from Bleach for all intents and purposes. Just these 10 powerful orders, and they serve him now. And they all have names and powers and backstories, and, personalities. And it's the second episode. And here they are now. I hope you enjoy them.
Here's what it's like to see all these fucking designs just leaping at once. The next time you are in a library or a bookstore or a physical place that sells books when the world exists again, I want you to go to a discipline you know nothing about and find the thickest textbook on that topic and open like halfway through and try to just process that shit in 40 seconds.
That's kind of what it was. That's not a bad analogy.
You will feel your brain go through a seg fault. And if you don't know what a seg fault is, Big Order now expects you to know what a fucking seg fault is.
I want to go back to the whole there should have been an arc that happened before this, because there really fucking should have, because you've got this whole fucking premise and this world that is only half built. And if you spent, I want to say an arc or so building this world, maybe building the relationship between these two main characters. AG is the first one, the second one is the assassin sent to kill him. So an assassin sent to kill him, right? If you gave us a few episodes for them navigating their kind of complicated, admittedly very stupid relationship,
Incredibly.
and B, navigating the world that they live in, that you're trying to build and have this whole take place in. Maybe, right? I could have bought the introduction of the attack of the character designs, like Demon Slayer, right? We actually got the attack of the character designs, like they all fucking showed up at once. After a couple of them, admittedly, had been introduced here and there throughout the series, but at that point, you had sort of gotten to live in that world for long enough where, when a whole bunch of Demon Slayers who are, understood to be like the best of the best Demon Slayers, them showing up doesn't feel like you're, sort of having information shoved down your throat and told to swallow. It's more that, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, so these are these are the top of this organization. I get that. Because, you understand the organization, right? You understand this world. You understand who these people are and what these people do. And it's like the 20th episode, right? Instead of the fucking second of the...
I almost wonder if this show is the victim of not only cocaine, but just a seasonal format. They had all this source material. They know they're getting a second season. They want to get all their shit in. The base material is already insane. They're clipping through it at an insane pace. Now there are just no transitions.
Yeah, and at the end of the second episode, they decide that we're going to take over the world. We're starting with Kyushu. We have already taken over the island. No need to thank us. And then we're doing Japan next. Episode 3. The Prime Minister of Japan kidnaps the entire families of everyone in the Gotei 13, Big 10, whatever the fuck, and executes them in front of our hero. Because, okay, so I guess he's psychotic or something.
Scene in this, by the way.
And we're supposed to just buy, oh yeah, the world's fucked up. So is the Prime Minister of Japan. No, dude. No, I don't buy that.
I have several serious questions.
I'm just sitting here not suspending my disbelief, and you're trying to put that shit on me? Fuck you.
Excuse me, sir. Tonally, you are severely underrating the amount of laughter we did. That scene brought joy and light and warmth to my heart in a time where I needed it. Sam,
it's true. There's a chance I'm being a little bit disingenuous.
When we all want to imagine a better world, don't we need Big Order? Don't we need Lady Gaga? Don't we need a live-action version of Big Order where Lady Gaga plays an assassin sent to kill you? That's my fucking pitch, everyone.
It's she's definitely... I do not think that she is on my short list, but you know what? Shine on, you crazy diamond. We should talk about the Prime Minister of Japan scene, because it's less a scene and more just a whole fucking sequence.
An experience.
It takes up the bulk of the third episode.
All right.
Because the whole thing is the last 2 minutes of the second episode. We are introduced to the Big Ten, or whoever the fuck their names are.
Yep.
And their fucking character designs, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna take over the world." And this fucking kid, AG, is like, "Cool, let's fucking do it, guys."
I think he goes through about, I want to say 45 seconds of resistance. It exists.
Does he? Okay, maybe he does. I'll take your word for it. You've seen this
Not so much
twice.
of conquering the world, but to being their puppet. There's this weird push and pull thing where they have forced him into the position of representing their world domination scheme. It makes less sense the more I try to think about it or explain it to you.
Well, especially because he doesn't seem to have any sort of problem with that. So, right? There's no conflict whatsoever.
It's why I think if you like Big Order, you might be a higher form of life. You just understand things that I don't.
Because the thing is, there's no fucking tension. His fucking power to, just control whatever. And, oh yeah, no, he, if this ever reminds you of Code Geass,
strong vibes.
Yeah, that's what they're fucking aping. So, and, he even has, a little thing that fucking glows whenever he uses his power, except it's on the palm of his hand instead of his eye.
Is that
They
Code
wanted
Geass
to
8 Blaze Blue?
ish. There's something else in there too. I mean JoJo, but yeah, there's a whole like drama removing superpower that he has where, like in Code Geass, right? And I re-examined that show. I went back and watched it again, and it's a supremely dumb show. To its credit often, but what it does is it gives, the main character this power, and it sets limitations, and it puts him in positions where, he has to fucking think for a second in order to use it. In here, it just doesn't seem like that. You just sort of point him
It's just
in,
a button that says win. Like every time something is stressing him out more than, I don't know, jogging down the street, you can just press the win button.
You point him at a situation and, just kind of set a 5-minute timer, and maybe it'll take him that long to figure it out. And that's the only tension is like...
You can just like have his stand poke some metal and say, yo, make that a Lambo.
For real. Because the fucking stupid-ass Prime Minister execution scene, right? The premise of the scene is that the depraved Prime Minister of Japan, sure he's depraved or something, whatever, has kidnapped the relatives of everyone in the Big Ten, and has this fucking sword guy go around executing them on television. And, this is being
on, like, UPN.
Played on the streets. Yeah, this is, exactly, and this is being played to, the populace of Japan who are fucking cheering for it because...
Which adds all kinds of humor value.
It does, and it does nothing for the world building, though that was sort of the idea I get, or that's what I'm sort of getting was the idea. It does absolutely nothing for the world building. It just pulls me further and further out of this. Makes me more and more aware that what I'm watching is something that is not happening and would never happen under any circumstances, even if, all of these fantastic, elements were put into play.
What a beautiful
people don't act like
nonsense.
this, and people would never act like
this. But the prestige of this scene, if you will,
prestige
is his answer to the Prime Minister's depravity, in which this motherfucker just pulls out this gun in the South Park's R. Kelly spectrum. I pull out my gun! A gun that was handed to him in an equally amusing sequence, by the way. But he pulls out his fucking gun, and he just starts shooting the other members of the Big Ten in the chest. And you know that it's going to be fine, because there's no tension in this scene, or anything that happens. But it's just really funny to watch him walk up to character design, putting 2 in their chest, and they fall over, no blood or anything, which again takes it out because this show has been the edge carnival up to this point. Like, it showed a little girl getting stabbed.
Oh, they're called the Group of 10. I just scrolled down on the Wikipedia page.
I don't care.
We've
so
been calling them the Big 10. Yeah, I really do not give a shit. Yeah, the Group of 10. Right, and they go down bloodlessly, and they don't even let you believe for that long that he has actually capped them, because one of them opened their eyes and does a heh just like we planned smirk, to the camera, and I wanted to fucking slap the motherfucker through the screen.
Oh yeah, like, just in case there was a chance that you were engaging this in some sincere manner unrelated to a podcast, off they go.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking wild. I love that the show existed, because there are a lot of strains of bad out there, and I can at least live with the world if for every fucking Assassin's Pride there are these Ed Woodian projects where they thought it could be good, and pederasty wasn't even on the list. Well, I guess actually there was a whole sister fuck there. Whatever.
There was the maybe sister fuck thing where, care is taken to
underline that they are not blood related.
The whole thing is that the main character had this dying sister who still is dying. Like, she's still alive or whatever 10 years later. So, like, okay, whatever.
He should order the disease to stop progressing.
And care is taken to show the viewer that they are, in fact, not blood related. And there's, like, no reason for this whatsoever. or rather, this could be for no other reason but that it makes, the idea that he wants to fuck her, slightly less creepy. So that's an element kicking around just in the background of this show. In case you were starting to feel good about any of
Like,
this.
in case you didn't think you were gonna get the fucking Brazzers step sibling wind up. Lo ex behold.
But you are.
And
so that whole thing is just kind of sitting there in the background, and she's several years younger than him, and I'm pretty sure.
Shudder.
Unless I'm remembering her. No, I don't think. Yeah, no, she is several years younger than him. So
I guess that's our unifying theme today, everyone.
Pederasty, lovely day.
Whether you're a tutor or an older brother, what's important is for you to hit that like a meteorite. Oh my god, what the fuck happened?
One thing, if I want to give this show any credit, it's that it doesn't have. No, never mind. I was about to give this show credit for, having less than the usual amount of, oh god, this is real fucking thin, people will notice, we might as well put some anime titties in here. But
why do you think an assassin sent to kill you is here?
Yeah, no, assassin meant to kill you gets a fucking lingerie scene in the third fucking episode. It does not even fucking take them until a fucking beach episode for, no, so No, you don't get points.
Yep, Big Order is convinced
you don't.
that it has to do all the things very quickly. Even just cram the fucking classroom scene from Ava there in the first episode because fuck you, I guess. I don't know.
Because fuck you, yeah, it's the only thing that people have ever fucking watched. Well, obviously, no, because they have watched, Bleach and Code Geass, obviously.
And step porn.
JoJo as well.
Lots of step porn.
And step porn. I mean, all of Japan has.
Yes, only Japan.
I don't want to hold on. I don't want to generalize. The entire world has
not
slash
a plague.
half the people in the anime industry have. There was this one fucking thing that I wanted to, just the pace at which, because we're covering material from the first 3 episodes, 1, 2, 3, 60 minutes of content, and we get all of this shit.
Dude, Sam almost snapped after doing 2 back-to-back. It was fascinating to watch.
And
he just was
not
out of
paced
shit.
well. Yeah, that's the thing. I was concerned. I was legit concerned that if we paused, I was gonna break my fucking neck from the whiplash. That's how fucking breakneck paced. I mean, that's why they call it a fucking breakneck pace. Except it didn't work. It just made me feel confused and exhausted as I was going through it.
If I were to Corey Graves and bring in the color commentary here, in every fucking carnival in America, they sell this stock machine called the Mind Scrambler. Mm-hmm. And boy, I feel like someone just strapped me upside down to the Mind Scrambler, or the Gravitron. Or just strap me upside down to the side of a truck and ask me to recount what I had seen from my perspective. I don't know.
I mean, I'm glad I had you here to help me because I'm not sure that I could do it alone because, Christ, this show was a lot.
We're a good tag team, Sam. We can survive all kinds of pain. And pain makes you feel fucking alive, doesn't it?
I mean, until you die from it, sure.
Man, nothing that happens to the main character in either show really feels like it hurts them, does it? They just glide along. And it's weird because the guy in the first show loses a fucking arm for a second. He's a vampire. He just stitches that shit back on.
I remember shouting chimichangas at the scene at the show, just like chimichangas.
Chimichangas, none of this matters. Fuck you.
And I think that's sort of become my little shorthand for, obviously the character is in no danger. There's no tension. I don't care. Chimichangas.
Deadpool.
Have I shot on Deadpool on this show
yes,
yet?
extensively.
I feel like I have.
It was basically half of our April Fool's Day thing last year.
Okay, sure, cool, fine. So I don't need to I don't need to go on. Fine. I'm not sure what else there's to say. I'm sure there's tons else to say about this, but nothing that I can really think of right now or have thought of. Did you have anything else?
I just have one simple message.
Sure.
If you or a loved one have found yourself watching Assassin's Pride at length, there's help. This has been Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell. By the way, have you seen that thing I've been doing where I've just been putting a joke in the after the episode?
Unfortunately, usually that is where I turn off the episode, is when the end
So
credits
will
roll.
98% of our fans, but now 2% have an expectation.